So like what's the deal with Dormammu? I know it's like a normal-ish demon name or whatever, but it feels like every time anyone talks about him, it's either Dormammu or like Dom Mamu or like Dami Mami, and it's just like I don't understand how they missed out on the advertising potential of this, where it's like
The, inter- the internet is horny, dog. That's it.
no, but
That's all
like
you got.
just swap the designs of Dormammu and Morgan Le Fay, and then you're gonna sell 10 million copies of whatever comic book Dami Mami appears in. Like, I just don't understand why, if you're Marvel Comics, you haven't done Fem Mamu. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it's an all encompassing sort of otherworldly demon, but super hot. People go in for that nowadays. You could
Well, here's
do
here's the
numbers.
thing. There are games where
Yes.
the playable cast is all female, and let me tell you, those games attract a certain audience. One which they do seem to have, to some extent, bottomless wallets. Good,
Yes.
but they are also very cringe, bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I don't play Shadowverse, and it is largely my
God,
yeah. Like, did you see Dexter's review of Shadowverse, which was like the
no, you
first sentence?
told me about it though,
Yeah, the first
and
sentence of
that
it was just like it's too gooned out, basically, and it's just like, yep.
it's really not. Like, was it Dryzen or whatever
I
that?
don't know. I saw someone on my Twitter feed posted a Shadowverse deck, and I clicked it, and the one drops were all like 8-year-old anime girls, and I was like, I cannot deal with this.
No, man, they're 10,000-year-old
Yeah,
dragons,
yeah,
actually.
it's like I was just like, I'm out.
Canonically.
Like I clicked the deck and I was like, there is absolutely no way. Because like what I saw was like the leader of the deck or whatever. It was like a fairly of age anime girl. Okay, cool. I can live with that. Pretty cool design. Her face is at the top of it. You click into it. All of the small cards are 10,000-year-old dragons in the form of 8-year-old children. And it was just like, I can't
Okay,
do
but
it. There's no chance.
was the leader of the deck like a white-haired lady?
I think so. I mean, like blonde, I guess.
Oh, okay. So blonde might be swordcraft, but the white-haired
Yeah.
lady, the point is like you get like the headshot or whatever, and it's like that's
Yeah.
normal. Okay.
Yes.
But then when she like blasts onto your screen when it starts a game, it's like she got thighs out.
there was
Thighs out.
someone.
She
There
is
was
definitely the
someone.
one where it's like, okay,
There's
this is a
someone.
little out of control.
Someone responded to Dexter's post with like, "Do you think I would like the game?" And then like listed some characteristics of themselves, and then the last one was also I really like gooning. And Dexter was like, "Well, I
Yeah.
mean, based on your last sentence, you should probably give the game a try on that alone." So it's like, I get it. I get why Marvel has not decided to capitalize on a character whose name sounds like Dommy Mommy. I'm just saying they probably could.
Oh, they definitely could.
Yeah.
It's always a question of should. And if they want to have the MCU remain some amount of respectable, then probably not, you know?
In what world are you living in where the MCU is currently some amount of respectable?
Some amount in that, like, it isn't overly fan servicey or whatever, like just
Sure.
in that regard specifically.
Right. As opposed to like
It's
the
like
regards of like, are they gonna make a good movie ever?
it does take itself somewhat seriously. And not like not in a terrible way. It's just like, oh, we're trying to tell like good superhero stories, you know?
See, like, I think one of the main problems with the MCU, or like an easy to point out one, I suppose, is that it doesn't take itself seriously in any facet. It's constantly like apologizing for being silly. Like
I
it's
mean,
constantly like lampshading the silly stuff and being like, well, if we know that it's silly, then like we're in on the joke, right? You can't own us for this being silly. Whereas like in an actual comic, they'll just do like the silliest stuff completely straight faced. Like they will not wink at
yeah.
the camera much at all. It'll just be like, yes, Bullseye did in fact murder my last two girlfriends and I still leave him alive. Don't ask me about it. That's my moral code. That's what I do. Like and in like in the MCU, if they did that, they'd be like, he murdered your last 2 girlfriends? That's so many girlfriends for someone to have murdered. Like, they do a Seinfeld bit about it.
Yeah, like what happened after the first girlfriend where you're like,
Yes.
Let's let bygones be bygones,
Yes.
you know?
Surely,
surely this won't happen again.
They do the nickels bit. They do like the if I had a nickel. It's weird that it happened twice. Yeah, they do that, and then Bullseye would kill his 3rd girlfriend with a nickel, and it'd be like that's what
he's like. Now you got 3 nickels, dog. Yes, isn't that weird?
That's what the MCU would do. So like I don't know. I'm not sure I buy the like MCU takes itself seriously thing. I buy they take themselves seriously enough to not goon bait, but they do everything else basically.
They are very jokey, especially compared to like DC or whatever. But DC is just like dark, brooding.
Yeah,
like
the thing I love about Superman, Beacon of Hope, is that he kills people. It's my favorite thing, dude. That's just what I love about him. You know, I love the DC universe. I love Zack Snyder's interpretation of Superman. This is great. I will just like aside. I actually did kind of enjoy Ben Affleck's Batman. I think that actually was good casting. It plays for like older, washed Bruce Wayne, but maybe I'm just an idiot. Do you want to talk about Dormammu in the actual game Marvel Snap a little bit?
Oh, Dormammu?
Yes, Dommy Mommy.
Fun card. I haven't looked at your list. I have to do that.
It's
because I'm kind of curious. I tried just like playing stuff without looking at stuff. So I'm curious if people came to the same conclusions I did.
Well, the conclusions I largely came to were like, there is legitimate power in this shell. It's just like every game against someone with interaction comes down to like, are they gonna be able to throw priority? And guess where the Shang-Chi is supposed to go? Because it's like, you don't have interaction, so you don't have any ability to like deal with any of that stuff. It just happens to you. Like, it's just like, are they gonna Shang-Chi you? There's a pretty clear Dormammu lane a lot of the time. What I actually feel like I did enjoy, though, is playing it as just like one of those points-style mid-range decks where I'm just doing points, I'm doing points, I'm doing points, I'm doing points. I'm making like a Bucky, I'm doing like hood stuff. I have a death on the back end, and then like the Dormammu is almost not ancillary, but it's like I can win lanes without him. And I think that's like a pretty cool dynamic that I've enjoyed for those decks. Because like I don't know how many people know this. Back in the day, I used to play Bucky, Carnage, Mysterio in my Sarah deck. Because that was the best points we could get back in the beta. If you remember those days, it was definitely a thing that I used to do. And so like I've got a soft spot for Bucky gaming, and I'm glad that I'm able to do some Bucky gaming here.
So here's the thing. Is this your list? This Dormammu?
He's not. The thing is not in this deck.
Is this your deck list?
No, it's like a pretty generic list. It's just like the deck that people play with this card.
So here's the play pattern, right? Is like if you have Carnage and a good thing to explode, you can get the party started, right? Otherwise, you mostly do it on turn 3, but then you have to go like the 1 on 4 and then the 3 on 5 if you then want to play a null and I mean oftentimes like a death too. Death is very rarely a 0. And especially because I, like whoever came up with this deck, enjoy the hood with Dormammu, whatever his name is. And
ineffable, but constantly male gendered. Like it is weird that like a sort of cosmic demon space guy adheres to human concepts of gender. It is a little decidedly male. Yeah, it's like, whoa, what's up with that? But you know, whatever. Sure.
Yeah, you would think that we would get a lot more like NB space homies, you know, but
and yet, like this is like an extra dimensional demon from wherever, and he's like, you know what? There are only 2 genders. Like, it's like, all right.
He's like, actually, I am a biological male.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't even know if you're biological. Like, I am not positive.
Or male.
I'm not positive he's biologically anything. I'm not even positive he, like, isn't some sort of thought form or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
also, sidebar: thought form
the hood.
Dormammu, thought form Dormammu, which is just like Dormammu, but like in a bikini. Someone should do that.
Donks. The hood doesn't play great with null.
No,
You may be aware of this.
I am.
But also, I don't think null plays well with Dormammu, period. I cut null and I was way happier.
So the reason I keep Null in here is because he's a 1-card mirror winner.
Sure.
Like,
And I mean, that's fine if you're playing against that many mirrors, but it could also be Shang-Chi, for example, right?
it could be.
That would do a lot of the same work, I think, and is cheaper and better in other matchups. Like, does give you a little bit of interaction if you want it. So I don't know.
I agree that like you can get stuff like that in there, but I think honestly the card I felt like I really wanted was like a Mobius, where it was just like what I lose to is you cheating. Like I lose to Mr. Negative, I lose to Sarah, I lose to like things that are just like doing stuff like that.
If we're just doing like fair point fights, like you have Null, Death, Bucky, Venom, like you can generally just strong arm them, but
yeah,
I get it. Like if you wanted a piece of interaction, it would probably be a combo thing. But if you were looking for specifically a mirror breaker, it is probably Shang-Chi.
I think the thing that I figured was that, like, Null trumps that. If you're going to play Shang-Chi and I play Null, I come out ahead. Because you blow up a guy and then it just goes into my Null. Like, I want a mirror off of them shanging my Dormammu where I had played a face-down Null and they died. And it was just like, well, sorry, dude. Nice. Good luck.
Yeah, but if you tag the Null...
Sure.
You know?
I agree that, like, one of the things that I really wish this deck could afford, and hopefully it can in the future, is exactly Mobius Shang-Chi. Like, if there is a build of this deck that gets Mob Shang in there without giving up too much, I think there's, like, real potential for the archetype going forward. I bought the 2,400 gold Spotlight variant. I am genuinely, like, compelled by this card. I enjoy it. I think it's nice. I think it's fun. I think it's cool enough that I bought that. So, you know.
Which version is that?
It's the one where he's like leaning away from the camera and his face is like the little flame emoji, which is, I don't know if you know this. My Discord avatar has been a fire that is doing the thinking emoji, like since I was in your Discord, actually. It is
the only thing I've seen you have.
Yeah, and that is a reference to how hard it is to play mono red in Magic the Gathering. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's what that is there. It's just a very difficult, complex, hard to understand deck. It requires a lot of stroking your chin and contemplating.
Well, to kind of pay that off, they're about to ban probably a lot of red cards in Standard. So
yeah, they are. They're like, I saw a post. I feel like Magic players have gone completely insane, just like sort of generally. But like I saw a post. Someone was like, they need to ban 10 cards, and it was all just like rares and uncommons. It was just like, what the fuck? Like, when did that happen? Like,
well, the uncommons are cracked.
I'm sure they are. They're like Corey Steelcutter, Up the Beanstalk. Those look like good ass cards. Actually, Up the Beanstalk.
Corey's a rare.
Corey's a rare. Good.
Yeah,
but like I look at Up the Beanstalk and I'm like, that seems like it would be a fine thing to exist in most environments. I don't really get it. And then it turns out it is fine as long as it's getting punched in the face repeatedly. So everyone is like, if you ban Corey Steelcutter, then we'll be playing Up the Beanstalk. And it's like, I don't know if that's actually true. I feel like you can't. I feel like what you definitely don't want to do is ban 10 cards in any format. I saw Saffron Olive talking about banning 4 cards. It was like, guys, Callblade got 2 cards banned. What are we doing here?
I mean, different times, right? Like, and it depends on what their goals are. Like, there's 3 years of stuff legal, and there are a lot of cards that are just legal in general. So this is kind of like maybe 4 times as big as like a normal Standard or something. And if you want some of those cards to be viable, you have to get rid of the things that are sitting on top of everything else and sort of invalidating them. So I feel like if you are really trying to get like the random BS rares to be somewhat playable, then yeah, you kind of have to be heavy-handed about it.
Why is that your goal? Like,
it doesn't have to be your goal.
Yeah, like
I'm just saying that, like, if that is your goal, then yeah, you do have to cut out like a large swath of them. But then it's like, well, why are we doing this 3-year thing?
Yeah,
because that was also to, in theory, make your cards worth money for longer, but really what it does is just invalidate a lot of your cards. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Perception greater than reality.
It's an interesting use case to like examine Marvel Snap's balance cadence and the upsides of that. Like, where you look at Marvel Snap, it's like, there are problems, right? But like, oh, Galacta's sitting on top of everything. Well, we could just change Galacta. And everyone will just be happy about it, even though presumably everyone owns the card. Like that was crazy to me. Like, this OTA was like their most well-received OTA that I've seen basically ever. The resounding opinion was just like, what a banger, we love you. And like, for me, I was just looking at it like, damn, I don't know if I like all these changes, but everyone else was like, this is sick. They got Galacta, they got Red Guardian, easy, great hits. People were very high on this OTA. And I think maybe they should just do more nerfing of good cards piles. It seems like a pretty easy win. Like, it should just, it's just like in Marvel Snap, there's not a competitive circuit, right? Yet, maybe. Who knows what the hell they're doing with Golden Gauntlets, but like, there's not like a commitment to competitive integrity that would or commitment to like real life prices that would otherwise influence this stuff. They can just do it. And that means that there might be a world where they're just like, what if we just nerfed everything till Dormammu was great? They could do that, and I think like, if they did that, people would be very happy.
Probably.
What I have taken away from this is that if you nerf, like, you take a point of power off of, I'm just going to start naming cards. Gwenpool, Shang-Chi, Merlin, Surge, Zabu. Just name cards that, like, I'm pretty sure you could just take a point of power off. You take a point of power off of those 5 cards in an OTA, and the entire community would be like, second dinner, we love you, can we suck your dick? Like, that is what the response to this has convinced me. Where it's just like, people hate the good cards piles, and I think there's a really coherent argument for the game being better when deck diversity is such that, like, you can play Deadpool Destroy. When Destroy is good, you have a theory?
I have a theory. Marvel Snap is interesting in that it is a mobile card game that is also attached to a very large IP, one which does not have a ton of overlap with people who are traditionally like card game players or even like mobile game players, right? It's like they're probably pulling in a decent amount of people who are just here for the Marvel IP. It's like, oh, I read comics, I collect comics, I like these characters, whatever. And a lot of that has to do with people really identifying with certain characters and those characters and their stories resonating with those people. And then you come into this game where sometimes the metagame has no real identity. It is very much just like, oh yeah, you just play these cards that do generically good things. But like, I think the most common thing for me is like, I run into someone and it's like, oh yeah, I play Marvel Snap, and I'm like, what do you play? And they're like, oh, I love the Destroy deck. It's not very good, but like, I just play that and nothing else, And that is because it is one of the few things in the game with an actual identity.
It's not just an identity, though. Part of why I think every time, I have long held a similar theory, which is Destroy should be the best deck at any given time. And the reasons for this are manifold. Like, there are like several different axes on which I have built this theory. Number one, literally it is the Deadpool and Wolverine deck. Are we serious here? Like, there are so many fan favorite characters in this deck. Deadpool, Wolverine, Venom, extremely, extremely popular characters only go in here. Very clearly.
Carnage was one of my favorites as a kid.
Sure. And
Genesis, Maximum Carnage.
2, it's a deck that has an identity that is all its own. It is acquiring its points in a unique way, similar to discard, right? Or move. It is doing something that is mechanically different from the rest of Marvel Snap. Also awesome. 3, it is incredibly easy to interact with. Shang-Chi is good against it. Killmonger under Invisible Woman, Shadow King, Enchantress, Mobius. All of these cards contribute to beating the deck. So if this is ever the best deck, it is the kind of thing that a lot of different decks can deal with in their own ways. I firmly believe that Marvel Snap is a game that more people will love if that deck with those characteristics is the best deck in the game. Firmly.
Magic had this old phrase that was ban everything until Necro is good and then ban Necro.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is what it would take to get the format to be like fun and exciting. And I think that's kind of what you're speaking to. It's just like nerf everything until destroy is pretty good.
Yep.
And don't even do that other part where it's like,
yeah,
oh,
like don't ban destroy, Jesus
like,
Christ.
yeah. No, that's because it's great. Necro, for those unaware, is one of the most messed up cards you could ever make. Period.
It's like the OG, like it's that and like Bargain, right? Or Yawgmoth's Will, where it's just like, oh, this is dumb as shit. It just draws me my whole deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Necro is also just a pile of words.
Yeah,
and so people thought it was really bad for a long time because they just didn't read it.
Yeah, well, it's like a paragraph, and not a lot of that paragraph makes sense. I think probably sub 20% of our audience could read the original wording of Necropotence, by the way, if anyone is wondering, Necropotence, whatever, and actually understand what the hell it's saying. I think it is like one of the actual worst cards ever made, in large part because of that. Because it's got this there's this axis of confusing and busted, where like it's a 10 on both. Where it's very rare to have that happen. Where it's just like, what the fuck does this mean? And it means I draw my whole deck and you lose, but that's not what it says.
Well, also it's like prohibitive cost, BBB. Mm-hmm. And then also like the first words on it are just like skip your draw step. It's just like, yeah, okay, I'm off it, you know?
It's so good. I don't have the breadth of experience to say it's the worst card ever made. But I do feel like there is no possible way where it's not up there. It's
just one of those things where it's like, did you think this was good? Because if you didn't, you messed up real bad. If you thought it was good and you wanted it to sell and be appealing, well,
why does it look
currently
like that?
You really messed that up.
Yes.
The art is dope. It looks cool as shit.
It does.
Which is pretty impressive for, 1996 or whenever Ice Age came out, but
they weren't.
They dropped
my big. What was Spirit of the Night in Mirage? Oh,
banger.
What an art coup that is.
Banger.
Yeah. The first ever fusion monster in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Not that anyone ever did that, but
hey man, that was a kitchen table banger for me, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is my boy. Spirit of the Night, don't talk shit. It was Spirit of the Night, Avatar of Woe, Vizara the Dreadful. Oh.
Yeah.
That's
you are a mark.
Yes.
You just named every card that was $20 for no goddamn reason.
Just absolute garbage. But damn, are they cool. Let's throw Grinning Demon.
Yep, another one.
$20
$15 on release.
Nobody.
People thought it was good. Came out, saw zero play, was still $15.
It looks so cool though. And those old
good art.
The old swamps are the old black cards where they had the marsh bubbles on them. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Banger. Onslaught era. Banger. All of it's great. And then they just got absolutely shit canned by goblin bidding for the entirety of the standard format. just absolutely crushed. And then Affinity, and it just never was a playable card whatsoever, despite being too expensive for childhood me to afford. I hate all of you for doing that. Who was pumping the prices wherever they pumped prices in back in 2001. Scry magazine.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, like
No, that was it. Scry Inquest
yeah.
was a joke, but it existed.
Whoever was writing these articles was like, one day, grinning demon Vizara the Dreadful. I hate that
The
person.
time will come.
I hate that person, whoever you are. You ruined
Dude,
my childhood.
You know what I did this weekend?
Mm.
I drove to Philadelphia.
Oh, that sounds like a
and
mistake.
I hung out with a buddy of mine, and we just went through. I was regaling him with stories of me combing through a lot of my cards and selling various uncommons.
Yes.
Such as Cabal Ritual. This one's even a common. Cabal Ritual,
Yeah.
currently $10.
Yes.
Right? And so he was like, damn, I have so much bulk in a storage unit. I should really do this. I probably have, like, no joke, like 50K in just commons and uncommons, just chilling there. And so I offered to drive up and help him sort a little bit. And that's exactly what we did. Just went through a ton of boxes. I think I went through like 13 total, and he probably did about 20 because he started a little bit before I got there. And yeah, just looking at like all the old cards, and it was a dope time, man. It was great.
Did you like take a cut?
Nah, I was just in it for the times, man.
That's crazy. Man, I can't even imagine having 50K in a storage unit. I don't even think I have 50,000 magic cards, let alone enough magic cards that my bulk would be that.
Well, he was literally just a guy who was like buying bulk and like various collections off people, and then occasionally doing entrepreneurial things like trying to sell repacks on eBay and stuff. You know, and like he was making a go of it, making a nice little side hustle for himself. So he ended up with all this bulk. And he went through and basically set aside all the stuff that he thought like could mature into something. And so like that is the only stuff that he has left now is like his keeps, you know? And we went through all this stuff, and it's just like, yeah, I pulled out, I don't know, probably like 50 Chain of Smogs, and it's just like that's random onslaught uncommon that's now like $8 or something.
You gotta love Commander. You gotta love hashtag MTG Finance. If you're a Marvel Snap person listening to this, I feel like, there are upsides and downsides to Marvel Snap's model. Like, obviously, it sucks to spend real money on a thing in a game that has no resale value, but understand just how absolutely goddamn degenerate that having resale value turns people into. It's the worst shit on Earth.
Bad.
It is so bad. It is. I don't know how many people know this. The largest crypto exchange, the original one to fail, was called MTGOX. MTGOX. Originally started Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. It is not a coincidence that SBF was a big Magic the Gathering guy. Like, this is doing Hawk Tuah coin in unregulated securities. Magic people have been pumping unregulated Hawk Tuah coin bullshit for 25 fucking years. Like, it is.
Well, also there is a lot of correlation between reserve list card price spikes correlating to like Bitcoin spikes. Yeah.
Like, the original cryptocurrency is the reserved list. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, it's an unregulated security with a limited supply, and it is, like, the intent is the limited supply means that the price always goes up. Like, it is the original cryptocurrency. As weird and deranged as that sounds, the promise is the same as the original promise of Bitcoin, a deflationary sort of asset. And yeah, that's what it is.
Do you feel like Psylocke is necessary in Mr. Negative?
I do, yes. I think you care a lot about playing the card Mr. Negative, and I wouldn't cut it, not just yet.
So you play Magic, which certainly lessens the necessity of playing negative on turn 3 because you're still getting another turn out of it. And I think having Esme in combination with something like Surge goes a long way towards you bridging towards like playing a fair game. Whereas
You could talk
Psylocke
me into
mostly
Surge.
sucked in that scenario.
No, you could talk me into Surge there. I think that's a cool way to go about it.
I'm still looking at your deck list, and the list that I was playing, I think, is the exact same, except I had Surge instead of Psylocke.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that seems like a cool thing to try. I find it hard to want to play Mr. Negative much, so my lists tend towards the stock when it comes to that deck. Luckily, the stock is like you're only ever gonna have to change it if you want to go like Null Mystique and go that direction if people start playing a bunch of Nimrod shit. Like it's pretty much chill, but I'm down for some optimizing around the margins there. I don't mind that change at all. Like, I mean, Lord knows I hate everything that lets Mr. Negative limp. So if you're telling me you can limp more with a Surge in here instead of a Psylocke, yeah, I mean, I'll buy it.
Yeah, and I just was playing a bunch of games once Esme came out where I was just like, I don't feel the need to like turbo this guy as much anymore. So
it is one of the more dangerous aspects of Mr. Negative. I think people overlook it a lot, where it's like the old Mr. Negative, if they didn't turbo out a negative on 3, you would snap them. That was the correct thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And ever since they got Gore, that has not been true anymore. And the more these decks get things like Esme, and maybe Surge, if you're right about it, like, that's when those decks become truly dangerous, because they end up going from high upside, high downside to high upside, very little downside. And I think Mr. Negative has slowly been creeping that direction where it's just like, boy, this is getting very close to a deck that's just going to beat you a lot of the time without Mr. Negative. It is getting closer and closer and closer to that deck.
Yeah, it made me wonder if, like, I could cut maybe half of the negative stuff and just do negative Esme, Surge, play the best parts of the Gore package, but maybe just play some sort of like otherwise normal-ish Hope Summers Iron Man deck that now has like a Mr. Negative spike and an Esme spike, but I never really got around to figuring that out.
People have messed around with like sort of Gore-based mid-range before. It's been a thing. Like, it'll do what it says on the tin, which is be Gore-based mid-range, like with like anti-venom type stuff, like just doing things of that nature with like decent ramp in there. But I don't think I've ever seen like tempo negative in that sense. Because by that point, you end up cutting the negative.
No, but like if you draw the negative, that's just free equity. You know, that's free real estate.
They should send him to -4. Like, the fact that you're even talking about this is evidence that they should just drop a nuke on his face. Like, get him out of here, dude.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Or I don't know, maybe not that this is necessarily like a high portion of the deck's win rate or whatever, but it's just like, why does the Jane thing work? You know, it's just stupid.
It is very funny when like they do negative Jane into you and they just haven't snapped, and you're just like, you got me. Like,
yeah.
I hope you enjoy your 1 cube. It's hard earned, I'm sure. Like that is a common enough thing that, like, I get it, right? Like, I'm me. I like playing Mobius. I hate losing to Mr. Negative. People know that, and so they don't want to snap their negative draws into me if they know who I am a lot of the time. So, but like, it is just like one of those things where it's like, bye.
Dog, I just forget sometimes.
My man doesn't even remember the snap mechanic exists. It's crazy. Speaking of the snap mechanic not existing, I heard you got like what's the word for this? Is this the first time I've nepotismed you?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're
nepotism
welcome.
me in a big way.
Yes.
Shout
Gerry,
out our hat.
Daddy hat, man. Like the daddy ridiculous hat nepotismed me in terms of getting me a bunch of Hearthstone packs, getting me to play the game. I spun up a channel, by the way, for everyone in the comments that was like, oh, I'd watch you play Hearthstone. KMB Hearthstone on YouTube. Go subscribe, watch every video, comment on every video, like every video. I want to spin this channel up. I'm actually enjoying it. So Daddy R Hat's getting his ROI hat doing his thing.
Yo, have you seen this card Ball Hog?
Yo, yeah, it's pretty messed up, right?
That's my guy.
That card
That's my guy.
Yeah, it's James Harden. This is a ball hog. Get it? You don't get that. You don't know who that is. It's fine.
I don't know what that means. The last like basketball related quote thing that I heard was my friend saying that as long as Kyrie Irving is on the field, he is a flat earther. Kyrie?
Yes.
Kyrie? I don't know. I've only ever read his name.
Also on the field, secondarily, very funny thing said there. But that's he
may have legitimately said on the field.
That's not the most recent basketball thing you heard. The most recent basketball thing you heard was when we recorded this podcast last week. We did a 30-minute bit about the horrible things I would like to. Yeah, I did delete it. It did not make it in. But I'll let everyone know we did like a 30-minute riff on the horrible things that I would like to occur to one Lou Dort of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And
say his full name.
Luguentz Dort.
Thank you.
And
show some respect.
The Dorture Chamber. That's actually
I like that.
Yeah, he's a really good defender. He also loves tackling people, so he's the Dorture Chamber. I
feel like I don't know much about sports, but I feel like that's not legal.
It's not. And yet. Like, because like the premise of my objection to Lou Dort is he plays basketball like the intramural. Like if you ever played intramural basketball and there's like a football player out there who's just like a little too physical. That's how Lou Dort plays professional NBA basketball. And he is on a team with the biggest flopper in the league. Yeah, you're a basketball gamer. You know exactly what that is.
Dude, I even got the tank on. Like,
my objection is just the combination of extremely physical, one might say cheating defense, and very flop-centric offense makes me hate all parts of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Lou Dort, basically the personification of this basically cheating defense, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the flopping offense, is so great at basketball that it's a lot harder to hate him. So it's very easy for me to just displace all of that and say, it's Lou Dort's fault, and I hate that guy. So that's the last basketball thing you heard, was our deleted 25-minute riff on how Lou Dort deserves all terrible things.
If you want to hear the 30-minute clip, Venmo KMBest $50 and he'll send it to you.
I probably will not do that. I don't think it paints me in a good light. It was recorded right after the Thunder won the championship,
but for $50
and I was mad as hell.
For $50, and then like they'll have the video or whatever, but if they post it anywhere, you can just claim that it was doctored.
Right, it's AI. Yeah. It's Allen Iverson. You don't.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving.
Anyway, so I did get hooked up with some Hearthstone stuff, and I did play a decent amount until I went to Philly. Then I was kind of just like locked in all weekend. Yeah. And then I just drove home. But
I'm just happy that I was able to nepotism you for a change.
I had this wild experience where I don't know what your Hearthstone experience is, or like what your era was if you were playing before, but like I played a lot of like aggro-y paladin decks.
Yeah, me too.
And I really liked it and really learned a lot too. I think a lot of stuff that translated like into Magic was very helpful because of Hearthstone. And then I looked at what decks were good in, standard or whatever it's called. And at the top was a paladin deck. I was just like, book it. I'm in. And I just copy pasted that shit. And then by like turn 4 of game 1, I read no cards. I realized this ain't a paladin deck. This is like a priest deck. I hate this deck.
Yeah. Well, good news. In the new expansion, you if you're like me, you remember Ungoro Murloc Paladin. You were about that life. I love that shit. That was my shit too.
That's why I have 500 wins with Paladin.
Okay, so good news, because in the upcoming expansion, they made a Murloc Paladin quest, and I played the theory crafting, and it's broken as shit. Like, it is super busted. It's every 5 Murlocs you summon, you get progressively +1/+1 on all your Murlocs.
Oh my god.
It just happens forever. There's no interacting with it. You just do that forever. And so you're just like, that's the whole game. And it's very messed up. So, you know, that's getting nerfed. But in the brief moment that it isn't.
Dear R-Hat, I know that you, you know, maybe don't work on the game design aspect of stuff, but...
I don't even... That's not a maybe. It's not at all. It's not a maybe.
Look, we pulled in people from some weird spots in Wizards. Did you know that, for example, Glenn Jones started as an editor?
I did know that because we've established this. We knew Glenn Jones was an editor because that's what he was at Star City when he edited the greatest book ever written, Grinder, the Brad Nelson story.
True.
So we knew this. This was something we were incredibly aware of if you're a lore head here on the KMBest podcast. I still haven't found a copy of that book, by the way. I have tried to find a copy of Grinder, the Brad Nelson story to put right here. Right here. Maybe with a nail through it because that's very funny. Right there, though. That's where it would go.
That would be sick. Like, you just put, like, an arrow.
just like nailed
to the wall.
So sick.
Like, what? I put my books on display. Is this not what normal humans do?
I think that'd be hilarious. Like,
this quest might not be busted because, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of the other cards and decks are also sort of busted.
Yes.
So, this is certainly a thing that sounds like it would be very strong, you know, 7 years ago or whatever, but
are you aware of the current visual effect that is happening to you?
Yeah, I don't know what's really going on.
Yeah, okay.
You're now glowing a lot.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Back to normal.
Did something happen? I
was just transcending. Don't mind me. You know?
Right, okay. You were expanding your mind into the Matrix, and
I was floating between planes of existence as one does.
Right. Yeah, and you were in the blind eternities, which there's actually a magic set there now or some shit. I don't really know.
I don't know if it's actually in the blind eternities. I know that we're going to space at some point. It sounds stupid.
Yeah, I always thought the blind eternities was a really cool concept. For those unaware, it was like the sort of space between worlds, and you step into it when you're planeswalking, but you can't actually stay there because it is like, it's like the vacuum of space, effectively, but like in a magical, metaphysical way.
It's like where a nihilist is from.
Yeah, it's like the negative zone. Sure, whatever. But
all your stuff gets -3.
Yeah,
that tracks.
Yeah, I suppose. But like, you actually, like, what actually happens if you stay in the blind eternities too long is you like asphyxiate, die, and disintegrate, basically. So I get that they were kind of a space analogy, but I thought it was just a cool little world building thing that I never wanted to see more of. And then they're like, oh, the Eldrazi are from the blind eternities. And I'm like, okay, dude. And now they're like, we're going to the blind eternities. And I'm like, okay, dude. Like, this was so much better.
You play a creature and just end it. You play a creature and just end a turn like all your creatures die. That's the gimmick for the set. Like, this would be fun.
It's like it's a negative space gimmick. Where, like, if you play a creature and it's not wearing a spacesuit, new mechanic, you just instantly dies. And so, like, the mechanic of the set is like a sort of death rattle mechanic, where it's just like everything is just ETBs and death rattles that you're like constantly triggering. Hire me, WotC. I have top-down designed the in space without a spacesuit set. You're welcome.
You've completely crushed it.
Yep.
When does the set come out? Because it said like, oh, pre-order it. It's coming out soon.
Why would I know that?
I was like, should I buy this battle pass? Did R-Hat get me for $20 or whatever?
Oh, you mean the Ungoro set? That comes out on the 12th.
And I didn't. What's the date today?
Today is either the 29th or the 30th, depending on how you think about it or where your time zone is. This is... So yeah, it comes out on the 12th. I had the same question, but then R-Hat got me into the theory crafting thing, which comes with, like, bundles and stuff. So, you know, I got, like, triple nepotism. I got absurdo nepotism.
Oh.
I got the most nepotism of all time. And then you left my DMs on red where I was like, hey, Gerry, do you want to do theory crafting with me? You didn't answer.
I think I kind of did answer.
I don't.
I said that I would probably want more lead in time because dude, I don't even know any of the cards.
I don't know any of the cards.
How can I theory craft when I don't know any of the cards?
They seem to be fine with me doing it.
Okay, but just because they're fine with you doing it doesn't mean that you're going to put out a good product, and I tend to want to put out good products, this podcast being the exception.
I was about to say, like, come on, man.
I got you. I got you.
What the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, no, I mean, like, I applaud your brand awareness. I'm glad that my brand allows me to do shit-ass products, you know? Like, I feel like I'm benefiting from my previous momentum being like, yeah, this guy doesn't know how to edit, it's whatever. The expectations are here. I get to really blow them out of the water because that comes with the contrapositive of, like, I come across very open and honest, which is good because I actually am, but it means that, like, my personality meshes with the content that I create to sort of create a coherent image of the person that I am, which I'm lucky because, like, I could have just been, like, a piece of shit. Like, if I was the kind of person to be like, oh, I need to have a polished image or whatever, I probably wouldn't be able to make the content that I make and feel good about it. But since I'm me, I can just fire and forget it.
Yeah, I mean, pros and cons, right?
Yeah. I do think that the content I put out is extremely me, this podcast most of all. Low production value, high authenticity. That's pretty much what you get. That section we took out is like the first section we've ever had to edit out of this podcast, as far as I know, where it was like most of the time there's just no edits on any of these. It's just literally what you get.
Yeah. It was probably for the best, being honest. But yeah, I don't know. I've been having fun. Once I realized that I wasn't gonna like the Paladin deck, I started looking at other stuff, and I initially didn't want to play the two classes that I hadn't played with just because I had not played with them.
Sure.
But then I just ended up looking at like this Death Rattle themed deck, and
you started ball hogging people.
Yeah, I'll do this, and ball hogging's tight.
Yeah, it's quite a good deck. Like, for anyone who doesn't play the game, it's literally just looping this dipshit guy who dies and does a dipshit guy thing. And you just loop it forever.
With lifesteal.
Yes. You just loop it. You just loop this guy who, like, does a little damage and steals a little life, and you just do that forever. It's technically classified as an aggro deck. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't claim to know what the hell I'm doing. At least right now. Give me like a week. But I certainly, for the most part, play it as a control deck, and then you have like your bursty window where you start turning the corner potentially, right?
Yep, it's a mid-range deck. Pretty classic mid-range deck. They call it aggro Demon Hunter. They wouldn't know aggro if it hit them in the face. Literally.
It's got a 1-cost 2/4 in it or whatever.
I played
beat down.
Yeah. I gotta say though, like, one of the downsides of Hearthstone coming from Marvel Snap, and just it was always kind of a downside of Hearthstone, is man, those games can take forever. Like, whoa, can those games be long? So that's always why I was an aggro gamer. I am sort of interested though. I want to dive back into something that I think is going to be interesting to a decent portion of our audience, which is, you mentioned Murloc Paladin and things like that, making you better at aggro and Magic. And you've mentioned that to me before. Like, we've had this conversation before, but it was like 6 years ago. So,
yeah.
What exactly did that allow? Like, what skills did you gain from that? What were the overlaps that you saw? Was it mostly about, like, positioning and tempo? What was it?
I think it was, like, tempo E, but like pacing yourself in a way where a lot of decks in Hearthstone tend to have ways to, you know, clear your board, and they have comeback mechanisms and stuff like that. And it can be very easy to just be like, oh, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 curve, and you get really far ahead on board. You take this line where you're like, oh, now I'm so far ahead, but then like your board just gets wiped. You're like, well, that's fine. I got some reloads, and you reload, and then your board gets wiped again, and then you're just like out of gas. You're like, hero power go, you know?
Yeah.
And at that point, like you're Dobbs. You're drawn dead. So finding a way to pace yourself and basically like finding out what your limits are too. Where, okay, do I have a draw that supports me playing through 3 board wipes? Like playing enough to the board where they have to play their brawl or whatever, and then being able to like reload with enough pressure that you don't give them a window to drop like their big thing. Like they have to like continually sweep you, and figuring out the right amount of pressure to put on people. And like that sort of thing is very transferable to Magic if you're like an aggro deck playing against a control deck, and figuring out what types of cards might be effective against those sort of things too, and just coming to conclusions in terms of like how you need to build your deck in order to be successful against them. How much like pressure do I need to deploy in order to get you to pull that trigger to sweep my board?
The other thing that I really think is interesting there is the analogy to Snap, which is pressuring different locations. How much pressure do I need to put on this location to demand an answer? And I think a lot of that comes down to like why I love 3/5 so much, why I feel like that's such an important break point, is because a 5 power card will demand an answer that is larger than a 1 and a 2 most of the time, or equivalent to a 1 and a 2 most of the time. And so that means that it just like it's sort of the Snap version of applying pressure, is like playing that 3/5 where they're not doing that, right?
Yeah. Like you want to get far enough ahead where it feels like it's still winnable for them.
Yes.
Right? But you don't want to just be like, oh, I'm like plus 12 on you in this location, and then they've just scooped it and are dedicating themselves to the other 2 locations, and then they put themselves like at an unreachable number in 1 or 2 of the locations. And it's like, oh, maybe I like overcommitted here. Just because like I wanted to like plant my flag, or maybe you had an Iron Patriot or something. And then you recognize kind of like in hindsight, like, yeah, I think I devoted like a little bit too much there. But yeah, 3/5 is a good enough stat line where I feel like you can make like a sizable claim to a location. But when you start committing like a 4 cost thing to a location, it's like, well, that's sort of the point of no return, really. It's
Another
like,
great
well,
example.
You have planted your flag.
Yes. Another great example here, though, is when you expect your opponent to Shang-Chi you, right? Like demanding that answer. It's like, okay, you're Shanging me on the last turn of the game, but that means I know where 4 of your 6 energy are going. And so I can play meaningfully for the other locations, knowing that you have to Shang me. Like, I am demanding this answer, so I get to all in the other ones using my 6 energy, right? And then there's the other stuff where it's like, okay, you're obviously going to Shang this. I can back up this lane. I can win through your Shang, and that means that your 4 energy play is not only not winning you a lane, oh god, I'm choking with my excitement for talking about this. It's not only not winning you a lane, it's also like actively making you make a bad play on the final turn of the game, because now we're both not contesting the other lanes very much, but I'm winning. And so like that is,
I was going to say that's one of the best feelings is like when they Shang you, expecting you to just kind of like, oh, I'm up in this location, I'm not going to put any more here, and then yeah, you do a thing like play a 3/5 and you just like notch them. Like you get Shang but still win by a point.
Yes. Like that kind of stuff. It's the same. It's an application of a similar principle, which is like demanding answers and being able to roll with the punches that those answers are. I think a lot of people like, there's this thing that I've noticed is like people are like, Marvel Snap, like KMBest, you're so biased towards mid-range decks, right? You're so biased towards these mid-range decks. You don't like combo decks. And it's like, yeah, because I like playing the game Marvel Snap. Like the game where the points on the board matter and like managing priority matters, and I'm interacting with my opponent, and I don't like playing whatever the hell you'd call Hela, right? Like it's just a totally different thing. I like playing the game Marvel Snap. So yeah, I mean, I think Marvel Snap objectively, I don't even think this is a controversial take. If you think about it in these terms, it's a better game when people are doing more mid-range stuff. It is a more interesting, more compelling, more replayable game when your decisions from turn 1 to 5 matter. That's just true, I feel like.
Yeah. No, it is, and I feel that way in most games. Like I basically quit the first Shadowverse when it became almost like deterministic on turn 10 you get OTK'd from every class. And new Shadowverse launched and I'm like, wait, is that just the shit that we're in? And it is basically that. It's just turn 10 you probably get OTK'd one way or another, and I'm just like, this is so stupid. Like, why is this the gameplay?
Okay, it's not actually turn 10 though, dude. It's turn 10,000. She's just a dragon, and like they age different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's turn 10 to your limited human perception.
The funny thing about that is like there's still a problematic age gap there. Like, why do you think that makes it okay? You are an infant in her eyes.
Right, but like that's probably upside for the person that would be into this,
because they already have like the baby diaper wearing fetish already, or something,
or because they just have sort of fairly retrograde ideas about sort of the dynamics between men and women and who is quote unquote allowed to take advantage of people. Like it's like all those people whenever like a female teacher is like, ooh, she's going to jail for like doing sex crimes to her like students or whatever. There's like all
I wish that would happen to me.
Yes, like the people are like, oh, that would be awesome. Oh, wish I could have done that. And I think there's probably like a pretty large overlap there. Not like a guaranteed overlap.
Check back in with that dude in like 10 or 15 years and see where they're at mentally, you know? See how whether or not they've been able to form like good, solid, emotional, romantic relationships in adulthood. Because
well, look, man, there are plenty of people who are unable to do that, totally unrelated to any childhood trauma.
I mean, yes, but I mean, more often than not, it is the result of a lot of things like that, where people don't really look at them like abuse or anything. It's just like, oh, well, that's normal, or like that was cool.
Oh, I wish that happened to me. Oh, she's hot. It's definitely like, I'm not gonna say there's like I'm not gonna be like all anime fans are this. That seems like a ridiculous assertion. But I do think that they're probably like the reason that doesn't come up is because like there's some fairly retrograde ideas about male and female gender roles, probably, right? Like that would be my guess as to like why it doesn't come up that the 10,000-year-old dragon is actually taking advantage of you. It's because they're like, that would be awesome if the 10,000-year-old dragon took advantage of me.
I mean, also, I think this is taking it a step too far. I think the whole like, oh, well, she's actually 10,000 years old, so it's okay, is just cope for I just want to be a pedophile. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think we really need to dive into that psychology too much here. I just, it doesn't make.
I think we're going a little too deep when it is. Sure. It is still very much surface level. The Occam's razor of it all, you know.
There needs to be like a word where it's like Occam's razor, but for like guys who know the age of consent in every state. Where it's like, is there like a famous pedophile you could name that? Epstein's razor? Like, is it just like,
oh god,
it's just like, is that the move? It's just,
I mean, yeah, but I also hope that we just don't ever talk about it to the point where
that we have to name that. Yeah, like where it's just like, okay, well, I the Occam's razor for you knowing that. This just flashed into my brain. There was a scene in, I forget which Transformers movie, but where like Mark Wahlberg's daughter is dating a guy, and the guy, like, she's 15 and the guy is like 19 or whatever the age gap was. But like Mark Wahlberg's character is like, you're a fucking sicko, and the guy like pulls out a piece of paper with the age of consent laws in the state that proves that it's a legal thing to do. And this is just a thing that happens in the movie, and it's totally glossed over.
Okay, so two things. One, I was going to proudly declare that I've never seen a Transformers movie.
Sure.
Before I'd even heard about this.
Yes.
Two, when things like this happen, it always amazes me that not only did someone have to come up with this idea, but then it had to get okayed by many, many, many other people. Who the hell wrote this?
Michael Bay?
It's rhetorical. I don't know. I don't care. I assume that person is not going to have a very successful career. But
well, Michael Bay is incredibly successful. I don't know what to tell you.
Making money off of just like loud noise movies or whatever is one thing. I would not define that as success. Like, that guy is not going to be remembered in a way that is favorable, I think.
Anyway, I like that just flashed into my mind. It's like there's a scene where Mark Wahlberg is like, "You're a sicko," and the guy has like a piece of paper in his wallet that like has the age of the Romeo and Juliet laws or whatever, and this is portrayed as like a normal thing. It's just like what you do.
This guy has had this come up enough to where he printed it out and carried it with him. Like, it's a bad look.
It's awesome. It's actually the only part of that movie I remember.
I believe it. That is like, you could put that in a lot of movies. Why were you just like, oh yeah, Transformers is the place for this?
It's just been burning at him that like people don't have a proper understanding of the age of consent laws, and he's like, no, this is my time. This is my time to, like, I'm going to call Alan Dershowitz, and we are going to redefine the age of consent laws. We need to educate everybody.
We're dealing with, like, alien robots here. Like, why?
I don't know.
I mean, shout out Marky Mark's character for attempting to, protect his 15-year-old daughter. Sounds like a great father.
Marky Mark's character is canonically a terrible father. He lives in like a junkyard where he does junkyard inventor shit. Only he's not like portrayed in the movie as particularly good at it because he is, of course, Marky Mark. He's like just kind of a, like, if you knew this guy in real life, you'd be like, oh, it's crazy old man Wahlberg. Yeah, he lives at the junkyard. That's him. He spends all his time trying to turn microwaves into guns or whatever it is he actually does in the movie.
I feel like you could be that guy and still be a good dad.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the explanation works on Marky Mark, and he does not interrogate why you have that like laminated piece of paper with age of consent laws, so I'm not sure how good of a dad he was.
Oh, it's legal? Well, all right then.
Yeah, I guess it's okay with me. That was a terrible Marky Mark. He doesn't sound anything like that.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But the kind of guy that would be swayed so quickly by a laminated piece of paper probably does sound like that.
Do you have any thoughts on upcoming card Clea?
I like it. I want to like it. And I do think that this is a card that could maybe make Joaquin relevant, which is cool. But then it's like kind of the conversation that we just had about like overcommitting to a location. It's just like, damn, you win hard in this location. But like, you don't have to commit any of your actual cards, which is cool. It's just like your opponent should probably give up on that location. And maybe there's some cool things you can do where it's just like they just won't play there because they feel like they're going to get double blasted on the last turn or something.
Which they will.
Do it somewhere else. Huh?
Which they will.
Well, I mean, I'm saying you could play them somewhere else. Like, you know that they're not going to play there because you have the Joaquin and they know that you have two things or whatever. And then you just play them in some other location. But I don't know. Then you need 2 slots and it has to be close or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, gets blasted by Luke Cage and Killmonger to some degree and a lot of other stuff, but it is the exact type of thing. Like, we're talking about how Dex and Snap don't have much of an identity. Like, this is the thing you build a deck around potentially, right? Like, this is not a super splashable thing, I think.
Someone pointed out to me recently that the devs seem to be over-indexing for how easy it is to get multiple buffs on a thing. which is to say, it is much harder to get multiple buffs on a thing than it is to get one really big and important buff on a thing, right? So, like, you look at a Sebastian Shaw, it's much harder to do a bunch of cool stuff with that than it is to, say, just hit a Brood with Galacta or whatever, right? Like, that is a much, like, higher floor kind of thing to do. And so you have this card in Clea, who I actually think is really legitimately interesting. Like, when I look at Clea, I'm like, this card makes cards in your hand from your hand. And you don't have to do anything. It just gives you cards. And it's like, that's actually unprecedented territory, and it's good. Like, that is just a good thing to do. But then it's like, all right, well, the second I have to go out of my way to make this happen, the second I have to put a Nakia in my deck, I'm off it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just
That's
like...
exactly what I was going to say. It is cool, but it's like, how many cards hand buff? Like, okay, Gwenpool, but not necessarily reliable. And then, we're in Nakia, Toxie territory, and it's like, well...
Yeah.
Are we trying to go there? I don't know.
Like, in that sort of commitment context, right? Like, in that sense, it is a lot of commitment to ask you to play shit like Nakia, right? I think that if this card worked with Okoye, I'd be like, damn, that's actually kind of sick. Like, if this card was making stuff in the deck and just putting it in my hand while it was in the deck, I would think this card is amazing.
It'd be so weird.
It'd be so good, though. Like, you
like, Okoye draw 1/3 or whatever is sick.
Oh, God, it's so sick, right? And I would love to play Okoye with a card that could do that, but, like, I don't know, maybe it's, like, a technical limitation, or, like, more likely they were like, that's a dumbass thing to make happen. Like, I think it's very likely they were just like, we should not do that because that's stupid. And I agree, it is kind of dumb to put power in a mechanic like that. It's just like, when I think about what could have been with this card, I think like, oh man, I would have loved to do that, you know? I would have loved to do that.
Right, but it's like, I don't know, it's kind of silly, because like...
Yes, of course it's silly, but I would have wanted to do it.
Yeah. Make your own game, man. You know?
Right.
You want to do silly things? You want to have things triggering from your deck that, like... I just think about like what's kind of like the new player experience for that. It's like your opponent just keeps putting cards in their hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Super ass.
Where's that coming from?
Yeah. It'd be some total dog shit ass. And I get why they didn't do it. I'm just saying, like, it's not even like we need an Okoye that is Nakia. It's just like, give me a card that just is a 4/6 that has Nakia's text. You know? That's not that far off from Gwenpool. That's actually basically exactly Gwenpool. Give me a card that does Gwenpool, but one at a time, instead of two at a time. Like, that's the kind of thing that I feel like this deck is missing, or this card is missing, where it's just like, it's asking for too much. It is too easy to get 2+ power out of your buffs. Gwenpool, Galacta, that's too easy to do. Surge doesn't affect this card because it's in the deck. And those are the good buff cards, and everything else sucks. So it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 6 proc +1 Gwenpool is the type of card I think they would not make because of things like Sebastian Shaw, perhaps.
Sure. But, like, okay. What am I, Marvel Boying this? Like, maybe I am Marvel Boying this. This is cool. I like a guy. But, like, I just wish there was like a Marvel Boy for my hand, you know? Just like, cause like that's the mode of this card that excites me, is keeping it in your hand and then playing it on the final turn alongside a bunch of stuff, right? Like it goes like her after getting a bunch of buffs and then a couple of the spells. That's super awesome to me. I think that's sick as hell. There's just not really a good way to do it right now.
I'm trying to think of like what other things key off ones, and it's like, oh, you could like Black Swan and make all these things cost 0, but like, wow, that's pretty mopey. Marvel Boy is actually cool because that is a thing that like you just play and then it keeps chugging, you know? That is a way to get multiple buffs that doesn't require you jumping through like a billion hoops.
Yep.
But it also means that you're playing a 3/1 that may or may not be also buffing other things. I don't know.
It's a little Like, yeah, maybe we'll
Plus.
play her in Zoo, you know, but it's like that's not really a good place for a deck to be, unfortunately, or a new card to be.
Yeah, when I think about that, it's like, does this help Zoo? Is this the thing that makes Zoo playable? Is this what Zoo was missing? I don't
A-
think so.
answer to all of those questions is no, but I will say this: Zoo is closer to being playable at any given time than anyone is ever willing to give it credit. It's just there's no
Yeah,
reason to be a Zoo deck a lot of the time because it's like, okay, I mean, I could do this and die to every Killmonger that's ever existed, or I could do one of any number of slightly less vulnerable points packages that allow me to like have deck cards and shit, right?
I mean, the ongoing Thanos deck, the play pattern
Yeah.
was not too dissimilar from Zoo, right?
And
It
I
was
was
doing a
playing
lot of the same
Kyera in
stuff.
that. Like, it could
Yeah.
afford to play like Kyera and Cosmo because of the power was coming from elsewhere. It could do that. Zoo kind of can't. It's a lot harder for
I
Zoo to
agree.
do that.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I don't know, maybe I think Zoo with Wiccan and then like some other way to spend that energy, maybe with some top end that was not just like Gilgamesh or whatever. Like that could be cool. That could work, but it was very much just like ongoing Thanos. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that was the way to do it, you know?
Yep. Like I think Zoo is closer to being good in any given metagame than people give it credit for in the sense that like it's not actively bad. It's a deck with a game plan. It's just like the fifth or sixth best deck that you can do in that style, basically. Where it's like, yeah, I mean, like it's playable. It's not like you're gonna be like, oh, this is heinous dog shit. I can't win with it. It's just not gonna be like actively good.
Massive W happening for uncommon hoarders right now.
Yeah.
I'm just checking in on like weekly prices, and I told my homie who I was just hanging out with, maybe looking to bird commander stuff because of all the chocobos in the Final Fantasy set.
Yeah.
And a bird uncommon is just popping off right now, but I don't know how many he has.
What is
It's
it?
called Flurry of Wings. I didn't even know what this card was.
I have no idea what that is. But yeah,
It's
for all your MTG finance needs, Gerry Thompson.
Well, he loves specking on commander stuff. Even if it just like breaks him financially, he doesn't care. He is just in there. He's just in there for love of the game.
Yeah,
It's a healthier way.
gambling.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wants his shit coin to pop off. It is
Yeah.
a healthier way to go about things than sports betting effectively for him. He's like, this is
Yes.
a better way for me to do this.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
I like that those
No,
are the
because
comparisons.
he's right on the Magic side of things more than he's right on the sports betting side of things. So yes.
I do think that it is kind of funny that like if you were a sort of degenerate card gamer for the last 10, 20 years or so, what you've watched is the entire world become degenerate in the same way that was unique to you, right? Everyone is doing
Oh
sports
yeah.
betting. Everyone is doing crypto. Everyone is doing gotcha. And all of this stuff that you were like, oh, this is my own parcel of degenerate shit. Everyone just does it from their phones now. It's just like, wow, that's probably not a good thing, is it?
You can just play slot machines on your phone. Like that's so
I
dumb. That should
I
not be legal.
I firmly believe that online gambling should be illegal. If you want to gamble, you should have to drive 2 hours minimum to a shitty casino that makes you feel worse for being there. If you want to gamble, you should have to look at the old people lined up at the slot machine. That is my firm belief. If you want to gamble, you should have to smell the people at the slot machine. You should have to smell that. And then you should be like, this is what I want to do. That is my honest belief.
That's why it should be a law that you can always smoke inside at casinos. It's just make it so miserable that some people may not want to go there.
And now they're just on your phone. They should make it a law that your phone has to emit like the smell of a sweaty pensioner. The smell of despair that hangs in a casino if you're going to gamble. You should have to pay a psychic toll, and you don't.
Dude, do you know the card Ophidian Eye?
Yeah.
A common from Time Spiral?
That's from Time
$18.
Spiral? Huh.
Yeah, $18. shitcoin popping off.
We love shitcoins. This is the hashtag. Wait, has anyone actually done like a podcast called like MTG shitcoins?
No.
That should exist. Can you get me in touch with John Medina?
As me and my homie Vishu were just hanging out on sorting through these copious amounts of 5-row boxes full of absolute trash and just shooting the shit, and occasionally come across a card, we just tell a story about the card, like I was just like, this could very easily just be a YouTube show or a podcast or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's like Story Force.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I said too, except it for the most part it's like us just talking, but then you also have the feel of like people kind of doing sort of like box opening sort of stuff, right? It's like, oh, going through cards, and it's exciting. You don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, we're gonna demo that if and when I ever get through my bulk and we buy a box of Final Fantasy and flip for it.
Yes, dude, I'm so in. There is there are a few events coming up that may or may not be near you. I have to ask. I have to figure out exactly where you live. Maybe I'll come visit.
Yeah, you'd be able to come over to the house. Crazy, dude. Someone tried to like shame me. Like I did like the house that Marvel Snap built, giving credit to the people that supported me and all of that. And someone was like, you should have more respect for the community that funded the house that Marvel Snap built during the Kid Omega fiasco. And I was just like,
yeah,
holy fuck, man. You did not buy my house. You don't even subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, you gave me $0.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Suddenly, #1 KMBest fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sure. Someone informed me that Reddit thinks I am paranoid about sniping. There's a quest to get retreats. I had to get 12 retreats. Do you want to guess how many retreats I had after 3 hours of playing?
I mean, I'm guessing not many.
It was 9. 9 people were retreated in 3+ hours. 9. I got 9 retreats. My win rate, quite high. 9 retreats.
I mean, that means that they're not sniping, correct?
Well, I have the snipe shield up. I don't know. But, like, it...
well, that sounds like... maybe it's work. I guess you just...
I don't know. My point
way,
is,
right?
that seems wrong, dude. Why are people staying so much if they don't... Like, because like the snipe shield only comes up on the final turn of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It weirded me out. It's not a coherent thought. Stop sniping. Stop it. Please. Well, I gotta tell you, it is kind of nice.
Sniping.
It is kind of nice to play Hearthstone because it's like, A, no one knows me enough to snipe over there, but B, like, you could just be dead anyway. Like, Marvel Snap is a game that has such an advantage if you know exactly what your opponent is doing. Because, like, basically no game is unwinnable if you know exactly what your opponent is doing, or very few of them are. And in Hearthstone, you can, like, I know everything they're going to do, and I still can't beat it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool.
What I was talking about with the Paladin stuff was me guessing against the worst case scenario, and, like, can I afford to beat like 2 of these things or 3 of these things, and like sometimes the answer is just no, and they have the third one, and it doesn't matter if I have perfect info or not, or like you're just in a bad matchup. Like Hearthstone also just has a lot of lopsided matchups.
Yeah, I gotta say, now that you've pointed that out, it does seem like the kind of thing that someone who was losing a lot and tilted might look to as evidence of potential nefarious activity. But at the time, I was so convinced, man.
About what?
9 retreats? Can these people stop fucking sniping me, dude? Like, there's 9... I got only fucking 9 retreats in 3 hours? People are fucking watching. But now you're right. That doesn't actually prove shit.
No, because if you were winning a bunch, it means that they weren't sniping. Or
well, I was losing a bunch, and then I started winning a bunch. I don't know. There's this thing that happens where people, like... One of the things that, like, really bugs me is, like... There's a thing that happens on stream that very rarely, if not never, happens off stream. Where I'll make a play, and then someone will snap. And it's like, it happens a lot. And I realize there is an amount of that will just happen, right? But it happens
there's like confirmation
a
bias and like
lot.
how much are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like there's an amount of it that will just happen, but like the amount of times I will lock in a play and then someone will snap, and then I will like go in the tank, put the snipe shield up, undo the play, and then lose. Like it is an amount of times that I feel like is abnormally high.
Well, if you changed your play,
I often don't.
In theory, that should alter the outcome.
I often use the snipe shield as a bluff. Like,
yeah, okay.
I can't always change the play. I can't never change the play.
That's the thing. You're giving them too much credit.
Mm.
Like if they are the type of person who is sniping you, and then it's like as soon as you do a thing and hit end turn that they snap you, they're not even like trying to be discreet about it. Don't try and bluff them, man. Just move your shit.
God, that actually sounds so true. That sucks.
It does, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. It's leveled thinking, but like about snipers.
It is, but you have done the leveled thinking where you have gone a level too far. Mm. You have overestimated your opponents, and it has brought you back to level 0 where they just crush you.
It's true.
Get on your opponent's level, man, which is not great. It's not in a great spot, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like people always ask me like, how many people do you think actually are sniping you? And I know it's less than I put the shield up for, but I also know it's non-zero. So I don't know.
It's definitely non-zero.
Did you know that there's a second KM worst?
No.
Yeah. Because like I know the first.
How is that possible?
I know the first KM worst.
Like a paradox to me.
There's now a second KM worst on ladder. And I thought it was the original one because like I snapped a Mindscape game because I was like, well, you're retreating as soon as you Mindscape anyway, right? And like as soon as you see my hand, you're fucking out of here. And they retreated on after I snapped, and they were like, snap? And I was like, what the fuck? I saved you time. Why is my friend BMing me right now? Like you were gonna retreat anyway. And I added Cam Worst. Like, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, that's not me. There's another KM Worst. There are now multiple anti KM Stan accounts on ladder. I've made it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
There are more KM Worst than there are KMBest because my name is not KMBest. Like they're
fair.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, it makes sense that there could only be one.
Sure. But yeah, no, it's definitely a fascinating position to be in because I don't like being the anti-sniper paranoid guy. I wish I wasn't.
I know, but you are, and I don't feel like you're wrong for that or anything. But I do think that you could still do with trying to care less.
A chill pill.
You could take a chill pill.
I could take a chill pill.
I think it's called Xanax.
God. Imagine just trying to stream Bard out. You just like just actually fall asleep on stream.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, guys?
Doing
KMBest here. I'm just chilling.
Doing unintentional ASMR because
I'm
like relying on my microphone stand to hold my head up. Like just fully actually nodding off.
I took a Xanax once in my life.
Yeah.
Because I suspected that, I have anxiety and possibly very badly. And for many reasons, I think around 2020, I developed very, very bad sleep. Just kind of like in general. And I used to just be able to sleep for like 16 hours at a time. And some amount of that certainly was like depression, right? But like I could just fall asleep at any moment. I could sleep on airplanes. I could sleep in cars in very, very uncomfortable positions. It didn't. I used to be the goat of sleeping, and now I can't sleep for more than 5 hours. Really, and my sleep is oftentimes very bad. I took a Xanax one time before I went to bed. It was the best night of sleep I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Just
a
like,
far
oh
cry.
my God, dude, I woke up just feeling so refreshed. I slept 8 hours uninterrupted. Felt incredible.
I have hit the age where sometimes I will have to wake up in the middle of the night to pee. It's a horrifying realization of aging and all of that. But like my sleep medicines are like melatonin and magnesium. And then if I really need to try to get to sleep, and this doesn't even really always work, like ZQuil. I can't imagine doing real drugs to take a nap. That seems insane. Have you even tried the non-real drugs?
So I went to a pro tour in Japan in 2005. This is Worlds. And I went with John Pelkak and Gadiel Slifer. And both of them were a little bit younger than me. And apparently heard through like the children's network that you could like NyQuil was great or whatever. And they just chugged almost certainly more NyQuil than was recommended on the bottle.
Sure, yeah.
And we're sleeping like babies on this very, very long ass flight. And they recommended that I did the same and like, went to sleep for a little bit just on my own. I was firmly like anti-drug at this point. I was terrified of like putting anything unhealthy into my body. Lol. Just eating Tombstone pizzas every day.
Yeah, like what are we talking about here, man?
This is like before I started smoking, before any of that stuff, Clearly I've passed that point.
Yeah, you're a card-carrying member of Vape Nation.
Yeah. Which you sent me an article that may change that. We'll see. But
yeah.
I slept for a little bit and it was like, like still not great. Maybe I'll take some of this. Right. And so I did, and it just made me like groggy and miserable and like unable to sleep. And then fast forward many, many years later, I basically not messed with any sort of sleep aid at this point. And my sleep is worse now. And people keep recommending I take melatonin.
Yeah.
So I did that, and a couple different like brands, varieties, whatever. And same feeling as the NyQuil. I'm groggy and miserable, but cannot sleep. And I hate it. So it is probably like the worst feeling in the world for me.
That's crazy. That's like, there are a lot of things that you take for granted, right? Like before I developed tinnitus, I think I took not having tinnitus for granted.
Oh yeah,
pretty sick.
Yeah, no, tinnitus sucks.
Yeah, it's I have it. I wear, like, people see me, if you've ever seen me, like there's a reason I don't have the earphones on this ear. It's because this is the ear with the tinnitus in it, and I don't really want to make it worse. If I like put my finger in it, I can hear it. And so I wear an earplug every time I stream. I like, in case I get too loud or it echoes in here. So all my videos, they're recorded with an earplug in that ear because I got tinnitus. And it's like, damn, I probably should have done that way the fuck before I had tinnitus, right?
If you go to a concert, that would involve leaving your house, but I highly recommend, like the earplugs that drown out all the horrible stuff.
That's what my earplugs are. I wear those.
Yeah.
I wear like concert grade earplugs to do things.
They're so dope, dude. I love them so much.
So
and
like,
I wish I did this at any of the 50 concerts I went to as a child.
Yep. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, among the things I don't have good sleep schedules, but I do sleep a lot. I feel like I'd be miserable if I couldn't. And it's like one of those things where it's like you don't even think about it until it's happening to you. Much like tinnitus, where it's like I didn't even like, it's like, oh shit, that sucks. Didn't happen to me though. And then it does.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, that's really, really bad. I'm actually,
Do you use Q-tips to clean your ears?
I used to. I have a like bulb that I switched over to much like probably for the last few years. It's almost certainly just down to very loud music.
Okay. I love the feeling of getting my ears cleaned. It's great. And so
Get
I
a
love
bulb.
Q-tips.
Get a bulb. What are you
I,
doing?
I don't know what a bulb is. I will look it up.
It's like an ear
But
flusher thing. It's a bulb. You fill it up with water, squirt the water in your ear. It's like warm water. It gets all the earwax out. You don't have to like put shit in your eardrum.
do you like hang the thing, like the little tray off
No,
your
you don't.
ear?
You don't
Is
have
that
to do
thing?
any of that shit. They sell this shit at CVS, dude. It's literally
No, I
just
know,
like
but like where does the water and the earwax go when it comes out?
the
I've seen ones
sink.
that have a
It
thing.
goes to the sink where you wash it down the drain.
I feel like it just squirts out of your ear and it goes wherever it
Yes.
wants.
Well, okay. You tilt your head downwards over the sink, and then you go.
Okay, you point it.
Yeah.
Got it. Anyway, love Q-tips. Apparently, you're not supposed to use them on your ears. No one told
Nope.
me this.
Nobody told you that.
I don't think so.
That's like
I
the one
legitimately don't
thing
think
people
so.
know about Q-tips is don't do.
Well, they
that.
know now. They know now. This was like 12 years ago.
Okay.
I woke up in the middle of the night, just like screaming, just wailing in agony, the worst pain I've ever been in my life, just tears streaming down my face. I'm like bawling and screaming at the same time, right? And my girlfriend at the time had to rush me to the emergency room. And I hate doctors. Not that there's anything wrong with them necessarily or whatever, but it's just like, I ain't got insurance, medical system, healthcare is all garbage, right? It's just like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't really want to go to the dentist because I know it's just going to be a shit ton of money and I'd rather just die. But this is one of the times where I was like, please, dear God, take me to a doctor. You know, I will pay any amount to just get this over with. And I had an ear infection that I think was the result of like excessive Q-tipping.
That's crazy. There's no
Never use
actual.
Q-tip again.
What I've learned is if you have tinnitus, if it lasts for like longer than a week, you're not getting rid of that shit. So I've made my peace with it. I tried for a while. I was like, what if I have like a sinus infection? So like I took medicine and stuff like that. I took like some Sudafed. I took like, various things to reduce inflammation. And then it was like, all right, nope, this just exists now. But it's honestly like, I don't know. You'd think that I'm like the kind of person where it would just like make me angry, but I don't mind it that much. It's just like a bit of noise. It's not like the worst thing ever. It's like a fairly mild case, and I'm doing a lot to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah, I mean it's just weird because it's like it does usually get to a point where if you have like the ringing in your ear going on where you it just becomes normal.
Yep.
And then it might go away for a little bit and you're like, "Oh my God. Oh my God,
That
I can
happened.
hear stuff." Like
That happened
yeah,
recently. Yeah.
this is great and then it comes back and you're like,
Yep.
"No.
Yep.
I haven't Q-tipped in 12 years. Why is this happening?" That's me.
Yep. That's me too. It went away like Sunday. I was like, holy shit. I took this for granted. I'm not going to take it for granted again. And then like I don't know if this is related. I ate some like sugary candy and it came back. And now I'm wondering if there's a correlation. It occurred to me. Like what if I just like really lower my blood glucose? Will that get rid of this? I don't know. What if it does?
I don't know. I think tinnitus was one of those things where whenever I tried looking it up, it was like, yeah, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried, it's like, it could be any of these things.
Yep. It's just like one of those things where it's like, once it happens, it's just like, well, you're fucked. Sorry. We don't really have a good understanding of why this is happening. So good luck.
You're old and falling apart. That's what that means.
Yep. So that's where I'm at. I'm old and falling apart. You're old and falling apart. Our viewers, if they're listening this long, definitely old and falling apart. Maybe even died listening to this podcast. Like just one of those things where it's like, this podcast was so long it actually killed me. It was so devoid of content that my soul got sucked out into the podcast. And that is how we managed to keep creating the army of Gerry clones that have populated 30 episodes of this podcast. Thank you so much to all of my 30 different Gerry clone podcasts and to you, the listeners, for sticking with us all the way through episode 30. We did not do the Gerry Sode at episode 20. We did not do it at episode 25. We have not done it at episode 30. I am assuming what's going to happen is I'm going to bring it up. He's going to be like, and then we're not going to do it for 35, but we will see. So with that, for Gerry Thompson, I'm KMBest. We'll see you in the next one.